that noise is. I know there's no noise right now. But the dun 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 dun. Wait, that football or that basketball? Dun 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 dun. I think that's basketball. Yeah, we're gonna. Doesn't matter. The NBA season is coming up in just a short while. Like I said, it's around that corner. And by that, I mean it should be like, here in a couple days. Because, if I say I'm around the corner, it's going to be a minute. So, with all that being said, I was like, normally I'll be out here being like the West standings or the East standings and all these other things. And I was like, man, look, I really do think that is one. I was like, I think this is going to actually be the most parody type of season we've gotten in a while. Just because I was like, it's almost like the NFL where it's like, with their whole thing about parody, except for I don't know if that parody means great more so than a whole jumble of teams in a spot. It's like, especially the West, I think pretty much from top to almost bottom, except for like one team, that they're just all gonna be like it's just like who gets the hot streaks and whatnot for the West. Because I was like, that's what I'm starting with today. I was like, it pretty much is just like who can get on a burner really quickly, who stays healthy enough, who rises to the occasion. Because we got a whole bunch of young guys out here ready to show how it's done. And them old heads still out here being like, I can still ball with you younger whippersnappers. So yeah, I was like, this is, I think, gonna be where the parody really, if you want to talk about it. In the East, not so much. But like I said, so let's just really just get the bottom feeding team that I think ain't gonna really be about much out the way. One, I think, is the Blazers, where I'm just like, hey, their storyline. I was like, my bad. I'm just gonna do like storylines for the team because I think that's really more interesting. Just because I was like, hey, if you got a team, that's really the only thing that you checking for the most part. Whether or not necessarily you're in championship contention or not like that, there's still a storyline. So Blader people, really, how's the young people gonna look? Can you make a team out of them when with Denny and Shaden, Anthony? I was like, does he get moved? Can Scoot bounce back from a bad rookie year? And also the veteran player, what do you do with them? Whereas Brogdon, Ayton, probably not. Robert Williams and stuff like that. Cause you gotta let Kleeman also get some room. And Jeremy Grant. So I was like, the young versus getting rid of the old, seeing what you could get, kind of thing. And I was like, I'll go next where I was like, I think they're always like a team that does pretty well, but I think they'll sort of be at the bottom is the Utah Jazz. To me, their really storyline is basically when you're able to trade Laurie Marketing, are you going to trade him? And how badly do you want Cooper Flag? That's really how it's going to look for me because I was like, that's what they're going to be trying to do. I was like, after that, we could just pretty much just start just naming teams because I was like I said, this is where it starts just getting into like a who you got at this point. So I was like, let's go with the Rockets. Basically, I was like, they were playing pretty well, but then they were just like, okay, just a young team, even though they got a couple of veterans. And then all of a sudden, Sagoon goes down, and then Jalen Green actually, started like heating up, playing efficient, and they started going on a hot streak to where it's like, oh, they almost got themselves into a play-in. So now, can they build off of what they were playing with last year? Can Sagoon and Green both coexist in the same area? These are the questions we will ask. Who we got now? We got Spurs, and guess what? Pretty much CP3 to Big Vic. That's basically what it's going to be. That, how much does Vic even get better? I was like, does Vic... I was like, so CP3 will raise the team up some. I was like, I don't think he necessarily to be healthy. I just think his imprint on the team, because he got so many young people that he's able to do this with a whole bunch of teams, OKC and whatnot, Phoenix and stuff. So can he do that also with the Spurs? In conjunction with how much the Big Vic able to carry them enough on their back to basically get themselves into a play-in. I don't think they're a playoff team. I was like, I just think that but I think they could have a chance to be playing for the play-in and all that. I was like, the Pels. I really want to know. I was like, I guess the question here is, they have a lot of talent, but how much is too much talent when everybody needs the ball to really showcase their talent? Not really Herbert Jones. He's really more a defensive guy and stuff like that. But Murphy, Ingram still there. I was like, and I don't know if they really be able to trade him. Zion, and I was like looking incredible with his shape. I was like, they got CJ McCollum still there and Deontay Murray. All of them sort of need the ball in the hand to be efficient. And, I was gonna say, I was like, Murray and Ingram to me are more ball stoppers in a type of way than the other ones or whatever. But still, I was like, how much is too much of like this kind of like talent where everybody needs the ball? The Grizzlies, it's all about Ja. What kind of Ja do we get? I was like, I think that's really the whole thing. I mean, yes, maybe Triple J being healthy, but I was like, it's all about Ja. And guess what? They might be right back in it. I'm saying playoffs, not playing playoffs. Let's see what else we got. The Kings, let's be honest, it really just the incorporation of DeMar DeRozan. Is he enough in order to make sure that they get into the playoffs? Or what are they? I was like, they was in the playoffs, then they was in the play-in. And then they didn't make it to the playoffs last year. And DeMar DeRozan good, and I was like, enough to mess with them in order to make sure that they make it into the playoffs. To be honest, I was like, the team is pretty much the same pieces that it's got, and that's really the only difference here. Golden State, really the addition. I was like of like Anderson and man, I forgot the other person they got, but with Klay Thompson now gone, I was like, you sort of broke up the team. I was like, what kind of ball does Golden State play? I was like, I think they're always pretty good and always be able to stay around the play-in mark. But I was like, will some of these new pieces and things like that be able to have the team play in a way that keep them relative. You don't want them to be the bottom dwelling team. I don't think you can with Curry and Draymond unless if Curry gets hurt, then I was like, we just then it changes. It's like what Kuminga and Pozinski, what did they turn into at that point? I was like Kuminga's development or whatever they have. I was like Pozinski is the one they really haven't really wanted to trade, but you got to see what Kaminsky, especially coming up with a contract, how he sort of turns it up. Basically, OKC. I was like just building on what they already been doing. Chat, actually, having this one actual year in the league and stuff like that. Seeing Jamal Williams basically take that next step to basically be Shay's it was like being second or third, depending on however you see Chet in that situation. Like basically, like see who steps up next to Shay. In all these situations, and I was like, but building because they got Caruso and Hartenstein, even though he's out for like a month or so at the beginning of the year, you just want to see how they build upon basically what they do. Clippers, new arena, that's what it is, new arena. Can they sell out the new arena at any point this season? I think that's what it is. There's really not too much hope on the horizon. I mean, it might just look fun to see if kind of like Kawhi gonna not be at the beginning of the season, so can basically Harden just go back to some old vintage Houston days or whatever. Also, I was like, maybe Jimmy Butler. I'm just throwing it out there. In this situation, Phoenix. How do they look now once they finally got 2 point guards, Tyus Jones, and I think Monte Morris got as well. I was like, how did that offense now look now that somebody actually is bringing the ball up court and basically going to give the ball to Booker and KD to where they don't have to do so much on offense, but basically be themselves, or whatnot. And also, too, I was like, they got Plumlee, and I was like, look, you didn't have a center, so you actually got a center now. So, I mean, I was like, not a great one, but a center nonetheless. And basically, they were able to round out the team a lot better. And I was like, if everybody can stay healthy, Bill coming back at the start, how does that really go for them this season with actually some pieces and health to start out, at least? Yeah, it start out. Lakers, JJ Redick asked the coach, how does he get this team that seemed like it has always sort of underperformed to see if we can have a performing at least a little bit better. Does they have like any ideas look better under JJ Redick? And I guess to see if the circus of Bronny, how that plays out. To be honest, I was like he's going to be there opening day. We'll see how long he stays. I was like Connect is the one that had like the great preseason game and stuff like that. That was like cool to see. We don't even give a damn about it because why? So that's really the storyline with the Lakers. Can they pump out more? Can they ink every solid juice out of here to make some OJ? Yeah. Um, I was like, and the Timberwolves, I was like, now it's basically to see what happened. I was like, how do they incorporate Randall and how does this team look with Randall? Because I was like, before that, it would have just been the sort of the same thing of like, hey, can they build upon last year? Anthony Edwards getting better, that kind of thing. But because it's trade, you got to sort of look at it a little differently. That hey, they got to incorporate a couple of these pieces. Your rookies are probably going to play a lot more meaningful minutes and stuff like that because I like Dillingham is the backup because they lost Monte. So, and I was like, but they still got Alexander Walker. They still got him. So I was like, but basically, it's really how they incorporate Randall. Because I was like, I don't really think they're going to like trade him this year, nothing like that. But I was like, him and how Dante fit in with the team, and does that actually them together? I was like, make the team around Ant a lot better than what Cat might have just been of just that rebuilding. Even though I think I would have left it alone, to be honest. The Mavs, I was like the development of Lively. I was like their bench, but really to be honest, I was like it's Klay Thompson. Can Klay be a little bit better than he was with Golden State last year? If he does, I think that it will work. You lose Derek Jones, I think that will hurt them because I don't think because they don't have a defender anymore. And I was like, he was 6'9", athletic, super athletic, jump out of the place, stuff like that. Like yes, his shooting that you're gonna get from Klay, hopefully, was a deterrent. But I was like, I don't think the shooting that there's Klay not shooting isn't the same. So you can't necessarily say that Klay and Derek Jones, the shooting that you get from one or the other, because I was like, one is a threat even if he's off compared to Derek Jones even if he's on. But the defense is a really big difference between them two in that way. And also see what Derek Lively develops into. I think that even though he only shot the one in I was like in the finals, I do think that I was like he might try to shoot more threes, and I think that will be helpful at times long as don't get crazy with it. Um, but yeah, does Luka learn from last year of his amount of frustration, even though he also was game busters in a lot of games, and I think Kyrie be fine, but that whole final thing was really weird. And with the Nuggets, will the losses be, players? Basically, I think they're still gonna be good. They still got Jokic and stuff like that. But I was like, at some point, do they start to be too much? And how much of these other players can you really rely on? What does Russell Westbrook bring you for this team? I don't think it'd be as bad just because I think he's going to give you sort of what Bruce Brown was. Because I was like, in some sense, I was like, even though Bruce Brown he shot the three really well during like the playoff, but that's not who he actually is. He's really a slasher, type of bully, type of guard. Now, granted, he also played defense in the way that Westbrook just doesn't. And also, it's Jamal Murray. What the Olympics and that last part of the that last back end of the playoff, that just like a that we gotta just we skipped those episodes basically. I think that's the question you gotta ask in this situation with that. But yeah, those are the things to look for basically with these teams or storylines or whatever like that. The way I went through those teams is not necessarily how I put them in the standings, but I think outside I think of the Clippers, how I was sort of saying them. Everybody else I think is sort of in the playoff. I was like drop them all the way down, but everybody else I think they're in playoff playing territory. But anyway, I was like, what do you see for these Western teams? What do you think? What's the team you're looking at and what you're waiting for? Let me know. Till then, peace. I'm out.